Hi guys, my name is Borrodante, and welcome back to Overpaint. So before we start, a quick announcement to those of you who haven't seen the latest reading comments video. 2 changes on the Overpaint rules. First is that to submit your artwork to Overpaint on my Patreon page, the link is in the end of this video, you have to be a $5 or more patron, when before it was just $1. I'm doing this only because there's too many submissions going on right now, and the queue is really big and I can't keep up with it, so I had to raise the bar to make sure that less people would submit. So that's number 1. And number 2, connected to the problem of too many submissions, today we're starting probably like a month, or at least like weeks of Overpaint. So there will be a lot of Overpaint episodes in a row, with very few exceptions. We're just gonna do a massive Overpaint marathon. So starting today, I will try to make sure I'll get rid of that giant queue, and we'll be able to work with the artwork that people submitted a little time ago, contrary to the ones that we have right now. That is, as you can see, June 24th, half a year ago. Hi, Calcifer S. I hope you're still okay. So yeah, in the recent reading comments video, one of the commenters pointed out that there is a big queue and we have to do something about it, and this is what I decided to do. First, we make sure that the flow of new submissions gets a bit less intense, and second, we increase the intensity of working on the Overpaint episodes. So let's go ahead and start. Today's patient is an already mentioned Calcifer.S and his original character Ryder. Alright. Also, I actually used the XP Pen tablet that I reviewed this week. I don't know, I just felt like it's a fresh thing to do, and it is a pretty good tablet, so why not? This is why we're having a new angle, too. So I just found an old drawing of my original character, and it actually doesn't look so good. At all. Almost everything is kinda wrong, so I was wondering if you can do something about it. Yeah, I can, I guess. Let's give it a try. So, first thing, composition-wise, is I think we need to give this character a little bit more space. So let's add a little bit more air over his head and on the sides as well. Alright, already much better. Surprisingly much better, actually. It's weird. I'm not sure if we actually have to give this character feet. Like, is there no way to keep the character looking just like this? What if we just want to show his knees, but not necessarily the way he stands on the ground? You know what? I'm gonna make this work with the way of adding air perspective. So I'm just gonna cover this thing up with something smoother than my rough brush. But that's of course only a very beginning. It won't work just like this because the pose is a bit stiff and unnatural. So let's think on that as well. So yeah, the second thing that I would change is the pose, but that would be just changing and improving the image and not really helping Calcifer S to make his next character better. Although this is an old one, but still I think this is an important kind of thing for everyone to hear. So when I'm looking at this character, I really can't 100% tell if he's standing or he's laying on his back. The pose just doesn't communicate with me. It doesn't tell me what this pose is about. Like, is he actually standing somehow? This elbow is really sticking out perfectly on the level with the rest of the character and not going backwards. This really makes it feel like he's laying on the ground. That's why he can't put his elbow behind him. Also, I think there should be a bit more space for the crotch. Like, the whole pelvis area needs a bit of a bigger space. So this would be a good change to the proportions. Also, I think the shoulders are a bit too narrow. Like, it's almost a possible width of shoulders, but not quite. And generally, even if it would be real, it would feel a bit like he has 2 weird shoulders, and why is that, you know? So yeah, I really suspect that the reason for all these little mistakes or weird decisions to happen is because not that Calcifer doesn't know how to make a proper anatomy, or he doesn't know how human beings stand. He knows it. But the problem is that he was concentrated, or she, actually, I have no idea. Let's assume let's assume the gender. Calcifer was just overwhelmed by all the details that he was thinking about, making sure that he would make all the details sharp and clean and not make anything having weird tips of everything sticking through each other and everything like that, and make everything super sharp and perfect, that it was really hard to at the same time pay enough attention to actual natural pose of the character and the message that he's bringing, like his emotions or something like that. A thing that any intelligent living character should always have, otherwise he's not alive. So what I would recommend to start with, instead of going with all these super precise details everywhere, we should kind of make sure that the character just stands naturally before we go into any details. So right now we would pay attention only to the proportions and to the natural pose. So he would feel alive and cool even before he actually appears in front of us. I think this hand should be a bit bigger and have this gesture right here. Maybe rotate this head back to the vertical position and have him looking a bit more sassy. Well, yeah, this guy seems like he is actually alive, right? Only his head is kind of on my level of scale, and not a lot of characters can handle that. A good strong neck that is really close to the thickness of the actual head makes the character manly and strong. Maybe a bit too manly. I guess the character himself is pretty much a teenager, right? So don't go too much on that. That's really a huge difference. Like, by just tweaking the thickness of the neck, you make the character changing their age a lot. So yeah, something like this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the original one as a reference right here and kind of quickly repaint him in the layer below my sketch layer. As you can see, my sketch is not the sketch of actual clothing or the actual face or anything. These are just my guidelines to where I'll be actually making all those decisions on the design right now. So this is just helping me. It's not an actual character yet, and it's totally cool. I haven't spent a lot of time on this. This is a super quick sketch, no details in it or anything like that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically repaint Calcifer's character onto this new pose that I have here, while also thinking a little bit more on the lighting. I can see we do have quite an effort on the lighting in here, but in like a cartoonish style. We have this dynamic kind of spotty shadows going on his face to make him more dramatic. We'll make sure we keep that dramatic effect on the character. I can see how his eyes are actually glowing in the dark. That's pretty cool. Or maybe there's just one eye that is like that. Anyway, we don't have to invent anything new. We can just repeat this. And yeah, basically I'll apply my borrow rendering effect to everything, and then I'll tell you if there's something more to it. But generally this is, I think, would be the main way to fix the character. Also, I would put him a little bit higher and also, I guess, a little bit smaller to have that space. So I won't actually add any more details to the feet. We won't see anything more below this level. That's where the air perspective will start and it will just disappear in like an artistic way, you know? So yeah, I think the best way to cut off a portion of the character is not to make that with the composition, but just with air perspective or something like that. Like, we still need some of the space below the character's legs for it to look satisfying. So yeah, let's actually start painting. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it done for what it is. Basically, after this, we just go into more and more detail, but I think we reached the point where it looks pretty awesome already. So yeah, I had to move the arm a little bit away from the torso because it looked kind of too stiff. Again, I did the kind of mistake that wasn't the original anyway. So in the end, I kind of had to make an extra fixes on the pose even after the sketch. And also I made the neck much shorter to make him look more like a human. So yeah, I think it looks a lot like the original, maybe a bit older, like still I think obviously older. Let's give it a try with the theory on making the neck slimmer. Yeah, he does look younger immediately when we make this slimmer. But yeah, he's more skinny because I wanted to make this devil side of his more like a skull kind of face. And this side doesn't really have it, but generally the face turns out to be looking a bit skinnier than the original. A little bigger nose to make him a bit more realistic. Not necessary, obviously, for anime style. So yeah, basically like this. Tell me guys what you think. Obviously this is kind of a different art style from the original, but this is like the reason why I don't go into more details, because it will be a very different routine from what Calcifer would go through with his contour kind of anime art style. So basically up to this point it's pretty much the same way, like we should define these same shapes with these same colors. It just would be a bit more of a sharp and specific light and shadow everywhere without any smooth transitions. So really the whole rendering of the light and color, the way I always talk about it, pretty much works everywhere. It's just about how smooth, how blended the transitions of colors you want to make for your art style, and whether you want or don't want to remove the contours. A little shadow somewhere in the hair, so it would make it obvious that the hair isn't just flat and weird bleached, but actually has a proper contrast on it, but it's just actually light. So yeah, this is it. Tell me guys what you think about the result. I think I really like the character right now. He looks so cool. I never actually painted a character like this. He turned out to be very anime and fantasy-like, which is something I don't do a lot, like this kind of mentality of a character, I don't know. But it looks really fun and interesting. If you want to submit your own artwork for Overpaint or just want to support the channel, the link to my Patreon page is in the end of this video, but keep in mind that the queue is pretty big at the moment, and that's why there will be a lot of Overpaint episodes in the upcoming weeks. And I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Work those hips. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Legit would watch series with this guy.